Hello, everyone. It's great to be here today at the Ag Media Summit. Haven't been to one in several years, and I'm so proud and humbled to be part of this illustrious crew of Lifetime Achievement Award winners. A little bit of background: grew up on a farm in Delano, Minnesota, about 30 miles west of the Twin Cities. So got all the farm kid stuff out of the way, and off to college I went and said I'm never going to write another word or be involved in anything having to do with agriculture anymore because it's too much work. So I decided I was going to be the greatest sports writer since Grantland Rice, or locally Sid Hartman in Minnesota, and took off on my ultimately my career in journalism. And in '73, I graduated from what's now Minnesota State University, Mankato, with a degree in journalism in a class of 5 of us in journalism. Brand new program. Worked at daily newspapers in southern Minnesota for several years. Mid-'70s, a good friend of mine was working for a farm organization called the Minnesota Farmers Union, and they needed an editor for their weekly newspaper called Minnesota Agriculture. So, thus began my career as an ag journalist, and also my career with which was then the American Ag Editors Association. Went to a meeting in the mid-'70s in Chicago. From there, I did that for a few years, got back into the daily newspaper business as a ag reporter at a daily newspaper, and then, as some will today call it, the dark side. I got into agricultural public relations, working for a guy named Bill Dorn, who will be recognizable to only people over 70 here in the audience. But he was a great agriculturalist and owned an agency, and Ciba-Geigy, now Syngenta, was their big client. So I worked on that for a couple of years. Then Bob Morcheski, another guy who will be over 70 if you know him, pulled me aside at an AAEA meeting and said, I'm starting a new magazine called Farm Industry News. It's only been around a couple of years, and I want you to come and be an editor for me and travel with the sales force and talk about the editorial of Farm Industry News. So I said, great. So I ultimately became editor of Farm Industry News, and then back to the dark side. So from 85 to 95, I went back to what is now Weber Shandwick and worked on the Syngenta business for 10 years and several other ag clients, and just had a great time. And then in 95, I said, okay, it's time to go out on my own. So my wife Sandy and I created Gardner Gardner Communications. And then a few years after that, Karen McMahon came calling and said, we're having a few challenges here at AAEA. Would you be interested in managing AAEA? And 16 years later, I guess it worked out pretty well for us. And it was an amazing 16-year experience working on AAEA. And so while we were doing that, and also involved in the green industry, we started getting calls from other membership associations, mostly involved in dairy, some in the green industry. And so we just started collecting clients, and people like Christy Mock joined, and several others. And we ended up with about 8 or 9 membership associations, the Ag Relations Council in communications, and TOCA, another communications organization, and of course AAEA, which is now ACN. So I've been on both sides of the ledger, which really makes being part of ACN something I think very important, and being involved in Ag Media Summit directly for 16 years and as a committee member prior to that, I see what an amazing organization this was. So I won't take up any of your time, but I did want to give an old guy's advice to you as we part. You know, the truth is a hard thing to grasp today. And so all you young people out there, and I love you all, be true to yourself. Be truthful to your readers and your listeners and your viewers, and be in tune to current events. I think that's so important. And I don't have to tell you about new technology. I know you all embrace it. And finally, I always used to tell the staff that I worked with that if you love 80% of what you're doing, that's good enough. And I was so blessed in my career that I woke up every morning and I loved going to work. And that's because of hundreds of people who are ag communicators in this business. And I'm truly blessed and just so thankful to be here today.